like there should be more mock drafts. You know, there's just not enough time spent doing mock drafts, so we're here to fill that void.
You know what? Something that I hate about mock drafts is
Tell me.
not mock drafts.
Oh, I lied. We're live now. We weren't live 10 seconds ago. We're live now.
Are you
Okay,
kidding?
we're live. We're live.
All
right, so I'm gonna
take it from the top.
I'm gonna repeat all the same things I just said. It's draft day. Welcome to draft day 2020. I think we might have been live because it shows Robert talking. Welcome to draft day 2023, and we were thinking like, what can we do for the GM Football Channel? And we're like, well, something that people don't get enough of is mock drafts.
Right.
Like, you know, I guarantee you, there's not, you know, people have only looked at probably like 10 to 15 mock drafts today, so they got to get more mock drafts in their blood. So we're doing a mock draft, and I like mock drafts. You know what I don't like is when someone says my mock draft.
Why?
It's just a weird. I don't know.
I said it today. Everything was my only mock. Like I said, my.
Well,
only
no,
mock.
it's just like oh, I've had that guy in my mock. I don't know. It might be just one of those football terms that gets repeated over and over again, where it's like
I guess
you're done.
for me,
like like my job is content creator. I hate when it's like I'm creating content, I'm doing content. Like
Right.
it's a joke. Like I call it continent because it's like I feel weird just saying content. So
no, I'm with you.
So we're doing a live mock draft first round. And the people need we got good 30 people in here, so which is good for this channel. So make sure to subscribe to this channel before we get started, you know, because we're gonna try and
Hang on. Yeah, let me tweet something out.
we're gonna try and make this more consistent. So what me and Robert are gonna do is Justin, Justin, you might as well join in on this, right?
I'm part of it.
He's here.
I'm in the shot.
But so we should go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right?
Okay, maybe we can do that.
Let's see here.
And we can do snake too, where it's
I want Justin to be the assistant GM for both of us. Like you know how when you'll play like pickup football, you got like a both team quarterback,
Sure.
or like full time quarterback.
Yeah.
all-time quarterback.
Justin, you're the all time assistant GM.
Okay, I love
know?
that. I'm the Dick Cheney.
Exactly.
I was all-time quarterback for like our like. We need to get into this in a second.
We do.
Wow.
Was like, you know, my two brothers and like our two neighbors, and I was all-time quarterback, and they'd be gassed, and I'm sitting there just like, go deep. let's go. No time for water. Let's go deep. All right, so let's just get into it. Stop wasting time. All right, so we're gonna go through all 32 picks. I don't want to make this extremely long. So Robert, you're gonna take the Panthers with the first pick. Who are you going? Are you gonna go with a surprise?
I'm tweeting out our mock draft live right now, but I will talk through it here in just a minute. Join.
Is there any chance that you're not going to take Bryce Young?
You know what? And you immediately spoiled the surprise. I'm sure everybody was going to be blown away by me taking Bryce Young. But I'm assuming that most of what we have in here are Giants fans with maybe some Chicago fans joining here in just a second. I have to start by saying that I'm glad, Bobby, that neither of our teams need a quarterback this year, because while there are 4 quarterbacks and not 5, please don't make me talk about Hendon Hooker.
I might just draft him to the Chiefs just to make fun of Chris Collinsworth.
That's great. But so while there's 4 quarterbacks that are absolutely draft worthy, if even top 10 draft worthy, all of these quarterbacks have some major flaw that would freak me out if I was the team drafting them. And so the guys that get a quarterback around 4, the guys that get a quarterback around, I mean, maybe somebody's going to trade up to 3, but if like one falls to the Falcons, one falls to like 9, and somebody comes up for him, I don't know how things are going to go tonight, but I'm going to feel a little bit better about, well, at least we didn't have to take him at 1, than taking Bryce Young, who's 5'10". I mean, he is exceptionally short, like the definition of the word exceptionally short, and I should know I am exceptionally short. And when you're talking about, like, when you're taking the big data perspective on a lot of these players, it just starts to get scary because you've never seen a quarterback that small have success. And the one that everybody wants to point to, Kyler Murray, has all of the lateral agility in the world, and Bryce Young does not. His tape is awesome. He's phenomenal in the pocket. He's got wonderful feel for both short, intermediate, and deep routes. He's really, really quick in his release. He processes coverage really, really well. And Bobby, when he needs to, he will stand in there and take a hit, which does not bode well for his frame when the guy delivering that hit is Myles Garrett.
And you have to he has to drop deeper in the pocket, which is going to create more pressure in the NFL. And it's like, are you going to be able to, do those Houdini things in the NFL? You'll see it, but it's like you're also going to create sacks that way. Also, now Alabama this past season wasn't like It wasn't
old school Alabama.
It wasn't the normal Alabama where you have Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Henry Ruggs, where it's just like you've got the best trio. Actually, they didn't have the best trio because LSU had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Even then,
that year.
a great trio.
Yeah,
like
best trio any other year.
Yeah, the biggest thing with Bryce Young, I mean, we were on Wake and Jake yesterday, and you were talking about, well, everything's perfect for you in Alabama. Out of all the quarterbacks over the last, I don't know how many years, maybe let's even go back to like A.J. McCarron.
Yeah.
All those quarterbacks, you could say that a lot of things have been perfect. But Bryce Young, Alabama's still an ultra-talented team. Definitely, if you look back on it, deserved to be in that Final Four for the college football playoff over TCU, right? Just playing the results-wise, right? Everything was not perfect for Bryce Young. And I think the defense of him is that, isn't the GM that's with the Panthers now? Wasn't he? He was associated with drafting Russell Wilson in Seattle. So the defense is that look at Russell Wilson and his passes deflected. The height's not a concern. Russell Wilson has added weight in the NFL. Right. Bryce Young can add weight in the NFL. So those are the defenses for Bryce Young that was not perfect this year in Alabama. The fact that he had to run and he had to scramble so much, he had to improvise. That is a thing that can transfer over to the NFL, but obviously you don't want somebody improvising and running for their life every single play. That is not a recipe for success.
Exactly.
So you're taking Bryce Young.
I'm taking Bryce Young.
Yes.
You can click it. It's an extremely defensible pick. I think he is the most pro-ready quarterback of this class. It's just that when we've had 1-1s like Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, and other guys that have hit the NFL ready to roll, this is a pick that if I'm a Carolina fan, I need to see certain things happen to know that my team's got the guy, but everybody's in that position. Right. So 1-1, Bryce Young, you're up, Bobby.
All right, I specifically wanted to go too because the Texans are getting a little bit of heat because there's an idea that they're not going to go quarterback. And honestly, I love the Texans for not going quarterback, and I'm not going to go quarterback here. Anthony Richardson, who I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The Texans are not the situation for him right now.
No.
Right? And the Texans probably, I'm not going to say they're going to tank for next year, but they'll probably be in a good position next year to get a quarterback, right? And you got to take – I'm not you got to take a quarterback. It's that time in the cycle type of guy. Like, I think you got to truly be, really –
sold.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to do what the Jets did with Zach Wilson. I'm not saying any of these cats are Zach Wilson, but you don't want to do what the Jets did. We just got to get a quarterback here. We're second overall. We need a quarterback. So I'm going to go Will Anderson Jr., the edge out of Alabama. This has been a favorite of mine for a couple of years now, right? Whenever I would post a clip of Kenyon Green going against him, 2023 first-round pick, Kenyon Green pancaking him whenever a guy would have a good play against Will Anderson Jr. The things he's able to do on the edge, to me, that get off, that leverage, that punch, the ability to disengage. Even though he doesn't have the greatest bend around the corner, he's going to tighten that arc by pushing on pushing the tackle's shoulder and making them have soft shoulders. So, Will Anderson Jr. for the Texans, I'm not regretting not taking a quarterback at all if I'm the Houston Texans. And it's not even necessarily about, next year we can get a quarterback. It's just hey, I don't think this is the time to get a quarterback, and I don't think any of these guys are the quarterback we want to put in this situation right now.
I doubt it's going to surprise you, Bobby, but I feel like the Texans are just in a hole that they created. I mean, when Davis Mills converted that 4th down and hit the 2-point conversion, the Texans were in this position, right, where there aren't any sure thing quarterbacks. I don't think they're wrong for thinking Bryce Young is the surest thing. And so if they end up taking a quarterback, or if they end up taking a quarterback at 2, not taking a quarterback at 2, either way, they're a little bit stuck because I don't think the quarterback options at 2 are worth the pick. You're just taking a quarterback, right? Yeah. And praying that things go well. But the moment you take Anderson, your team's probably not bad enough.
Richardson, I can see making sense here, right? Or making sense at going 2 overall. but it's just the Texan situation is not the position. Like,
No.
I like Anthony Richardson. I don't want him in that Texan situation.
No, I don't either.
No.
But I also this is also a Will Anderson Jr. love fest by me, where it's like I don't
yeah.
want to pass up
Well
on
worth
this
it.
guy. I don't want to pass up on this guy. Like if Will Anderson Jr. was in this class, I'd probably go quarterback here. Will Anderson Jr. is a guy I do not want to look back at and say I passed on him just because I felt like I needed a quarterback and I forced a quarterback. So Will Anderson Jr. with pick 2.
There's one player at number 2 that if we see his name pop up tonight, I will try not to laugh. I am the biggest fan, Justin, of big, fast, long people at edge. But if Tyree Wilson seriously gets picked over Will
I won't
Anderson,
laugh at that. It's just it's like you said,
Like,
over
I
Will
get it.
Anderson Jr.
he's a really good player.
It's not a negative on Tyree Wilson. It's
No.
just over Will Anderson
Over
Jr.
one of the
Not doing
safest
anybody
edge
over Will
prospects you could
Anderson
ask for.
Jr. Yeah.
Exactly. We're on the same page.
All right, Cardinals pick 3. What do you
Cardinals
got?
pick 3. Now, this is a no trades draft. You and I talked about
No
this.
trades.
Because I think the Cardinals are going to be trying to shop this pick up until they are forced to turn the card in. But right now, Justin, they're stuck. Do you have any options? Because you haven't actually gotten to express an opinion yet.
It's not a great one.
No, it's not.
Not a great one, right? They don't need a quarterback. They're paying a quarterback a lot of money. You know, do the Cardinals draft room have major questions on Jalen Carter? Do a lot of draft rooms have major questions on Jalen Carter?
Right.
I mean, if Jalen Carter, if in an ideal world Jalen Carter's going to show up to work every day, he's going to work hard, he's going to work his ass off, and he's a clean-cut human being. Jalen Carter's a pick here at 3, but
Easy.
it's not that easy.
If only it was that easy.
It's not that easy.
He might have been the pick at 2 if
Yeah.
you could guarantee all those things.
Yeah.
He's got God-given abilities that nobody else in this draft does. And apparently, he acts like he's got that God-given talent. Not that we would know. We're not in that room.
Right.
Now, what do you think of these rumors that they want Paris Johnson? Like, even up here at 3. Because suddenly, like 4 or 5 mocks that I've seen just over the last couple days have Paris Johnson, who apparently Kyler Murray likes, at 3. Would you take him there, Justin?
Bobby, I mean, you're the O-line guy.
I
I'll
like
defer to
Paris
you.
Johnson. I'm not taking him at 3 over the guys that are on defensive players that are on the board.
Yeah, I feel like the tackle class just simply from being talked about, right?
Right.
The tackle classes of the last few years have been talked about and hyped up a lot more rather than the guys in this
This
year's
is
class.
a good, not great tackle class. Like where
Agreed.
2020 was a great tackle class, 2021 was a great tackle class with Penne, Slater, and Darrisaw. This is not, to me, a great tackle class.
You're
It's a
looking-
good tackle class. Like
Right.
I like the top 3. I do. I think they're going to be good tackles, but it's not. I don't think we're going to get all pros out of them.
Yeah.
In baseball
Unless
terms,
Skoronski moves the guard, then I could see an all pro in
Right.
the future.
in baseball terms, you're looking at a good couple of doubles, but not really any home runs.
Yeah.
Right. And so I sit here at Arizona, I'm stuck. And at the end of the day, Justin, what I keep coming back to, as ridiculous as it sounds, but I want to see how the board falls if we do this, Bobby. So that's my partial of my justification.
But the Cardinals, before you pick, are the. If we were going to do trades in a mock draft, the Cardinals
the
would
trade.
be the number one. Like, let's make a trade happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But so they've got 2 tackles. They got Kelvin Beachum. He's 34. They've got DJ Humphries. He's 30, and he has injury questions. If they're going to take a tackle, they're going to take a tackle up high. So I do want to give him Paris Johnson to see
right.
what happens here, where
Oh, wow.
we'll trust the wild mocks will be a little more predictive per se than just taking Tyree Wilson and rolling with that, because I think an offensive lineman's going to go somewhere in the top 8. I have a feeling it's going to be the guy with the 36.5-inch arms. So, Bobby, who's your pick at number 4 if you're the Colts in this situation?
So, to be honest, I didn't want to pick any quarterbacks in this mock draft, but it's impossible.
Just
to
as a
do.
hater?
It's just I like to talk about other positions more so than quarterbacks.
course.
Like quarterback's a position where it's like I want to watch every 12 game in depth to give my opinion on, because there's so many layers to quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
But a guy that we actually have watched a good amount, me and Justin, is the guy we looked at our way too early or our way too early draft preview we did last summer, and I was impressed with him then, not just because like the athlete, the wow plays. It's like this guy goes through his reads. He reads the field, and a lot of guys do not do that, that are highly touted. So with the Colts obviously needing a quarterback, right?
Right.
And in being in a fairly decent situation for a quarterback, they need offensive line help, obviously. I'm going Anthony Richardson, the quarterback
There
out of
it is.
Florida. He is the highest ceiling. I think some of the stuff of being like because there is some rawness to his game,
Right.
but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Now, the big thing that worries me about his game is when there's pressure, one, he can scramble early, right? And part of that was Florida's offense is they kind of got that into him. But when there is pressure within the pocket, there's panic in his game, and his footwork collapses, and it leads to wildly erratic throws, like wildly erratic throws that will turn into interceptions. So ideally, you don't have to play him right away. You know, it seems like as crazy as Jim Irsay is, there is some job safety there with Chris Ballard to let him sit and work on his footwork. And I've become more and more of a let guys sit and learn, and not just at quarterback, but just in a lot of positions in general. I think it's valuable. I think it's valuable for some guys to just sit and learn instead of every week you preparing to get ready for the next team. Prepare to make yourself a better player. So I'm going obviously Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida with the Colts. I think this is a good fit with him. You have a guy like Michael Pittman Jr. They got Jelani Woods, who they like out of Virginia last year. Need some offensive line improvement. It's been banged up. Quentin Nelson didn't have his best year. We expect him to bounce back, but taking Anthony Richardson Jr., and I feel good about it.
I also love the fact that they pull, at this point, you're drafting him to an offensive coordinator in Shane Steichen, who's worked with quarterbacks not dissimilar from Richardson's game.
That's the main attraction point. We have Dalton Feely, who's a Colts fan, who's the researcher at John Boy Media, and that's the main attraction point of Anthony Richardson going specifically to the Colts. Now, really, you look at a lot of teams that maybe need a quarterback that are also picking in round one.
Right.
How fun would Anthony Richardson possibly be in Seattle in a post-Geno Smith world?
Very.
How fun would he be in a Detroit Lions system in a post-Jared Goff world?
Unspeakably.
And even like Arthur Smith, where it's like play action, you can kind of see it where maybe they're going to run the ball a little bit more. That's what they want to do. But still like a play action where it has, the quarterback has an opportunity to kind of get outside the pocket, again, manipulate plays, and Anthony Richardson kind of does that well. So there's a stretch of teams where they're picking in the top 10 that I don't think the Colts would pass on Anthony Richardson. You could even make an argument that C.J. Stroud, maybe fits the scheme maybe a little bit more. I don't know, but Anthony Richardson, I love that fit for the Colts, and there's a lot of other fits that he has in the top 10 as well.
If there's something that I hate, transitioning now to pick number 5, Justin, it's that
Seattle
Bobby,
Seahawks.
You and I don't get to sit down with these prospects and ask them burning questions.
It's the biggest thing of this draft. That's why it's the most frustrating thing, especially from my end. So somebody who doesn't break down film like you guys. I'm looking at this and I'll give my overall thoughts on this, that. But at the end of the day, so much of the eval, at least for the GMs that I think do it right.
Right.
So much of the eval is what kind of human being are you? And not only the kind of human being you could be a bad human being, but are you willing to work hard at the game of football?
Right. Like, there's a guy we'll talk. I'll just save till he's picked, so I give my take on that. So, who do you got for the Seattle Seahawks?
That's the problem. Is that I wanted to talk through this because on one hand, you could make an argument. Like I was waiting for Richardson, to be honest with you, because I think he fits everything that Seattle wants in a quarterback. You'd be able to run a little bit of an infused like Cam Newton style meets play action passer style, which technically fits CJ Stroud. But the moment I lose my guy, Justin, you make the call. Are we forcing a quarterback in a very, very pure football throwing CJ Stroud, who might very well be one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL, even though I have real questions about his ability to handle pressure, about what he does when his second read isn't there? I mean, I'm a Bears fan. I have seen how long it takes quarterbacks to unlearn the Ohio State style of my guy is open.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine the bad habits that come from Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jackson Smith-Jigba being your wide receiver 1, 2, and 3
You didn't mention the guy
college.
who's already being slated as a top 5 NFL receiver of all time, and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, yeah, I was making a Fields comparison. In this case, it's
okay.
JSN and Marvin Harrison Jr. with an offensive line full of 5 stars and 4 stars and guys going in the first round.
You got a top 10 left tackle in Paris Johnson. You got DeJuan Jones, who I don't like as much as other people, but
Right.
in college is obviously a beast. So Whippler the center.
Whippler could very well be a day 2 guy. Their left guard is a 5-star that's going to end up being a top 10 pick. Maybe not top 10 because he's a guard, but you get the idea. So Justin, you make the call.
What's his name? Because I want to look at him for our way too early.
Then I wish I
preview.
could tell you. I just know it's Ohio State left guard.
Remember,
Where's
Ohio
number
State left
74?
guard for our
Ohio
July
State left
episode.
Number
guard.
74. But so are we forcing Stroud Or are we taking Jalen Carter?
I'm taking Jalen Carter.
I think we got to take Jalen Carter.
I agree.
It's the sensible choice. I meant it when I said it earlier. Jalen Carter, with his head on straight, is the far and away best player in this draft. He's nigh unblockable. I mean, this is a guy who rolls out of bed and tears guys open. His Ohio State game is generally considered to not be that great a game. And if you stare at number 88 specifically, Justin, you're not going to see people block him out. Like, he throws one guy away and the double team gets his hands on him. And if you're telling me, Bobby, that in a worst case scenario, you get a guy who's going to eat a double team for you at the 3 technique position and give you a one-on-one with your 1 tech, that's still a great football player. Obviously, there's some risk involved, Justin, but my argument is Jalen Carter is one of the rare football players that if he literally doesn't get any better, he's still way better a football player than a 21-year-old at his age should be, from a technical level, from an athletic level, from all of it. I think he makes a lot of sense in Seattle. It's just a matter of whether they want to deal with him.
Yeah, my question, so like the stuff with Jalen Carter, like the arrest stuff, well, obviously it's very important.
Right.
That doesn't bother me as much as not showing up to his pro day out of weight, not even being able to finish. You know, and obviously some stuff happened before that and he could be out, but you shouldn't be so out of shape getting ready for the NFL draft that you can't finish your pro day. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, are you working out there? Are you working hard? Yeah, but to not be able to finish your pro day and not be able to persevere, even if you feel like I can't finish, you persevere. Like, you know, if you're a football player watching this, remember that first day of training camp, whether it was high school, college, whatever, you wanted to quit. Right? Every day, the first day of training camp, you wanted to quit because it is like, we're going to put you, this is going to be the toughest day, and it's the first day, your body's not used to it, but you persevere.
Right.
And then you get a couple pussies that quit, but you persevere. And the fact that he wasn't able to do that bothered me a little bit. So, pick 6 for the Lions. Gave up, they were a bad passing defense. Bad passing defense. And I'm going the cornerback out of Oregon, who can play press man, fast as can be, good ball skills, Christian Gonzalez.
Gotta do it.
I really like that fit. Kind of wanted to go Tyree Wilson here and just like add some to that pass rush. You know, because they had Aiden Hutchinson. What was the name of the guy who came on late for them?
James Houston.
James Houston.
6th-round pick.
Who played really well for them. But I'm going to go Christian Gonzalez. They desperately need corners to me.
They just had some corners that were suspended for the whole season too.
Yeah.
Right.
So Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. We got to go a little faster through these picks. We're spending
We're spending less time than the NFL is going to spend on them. We've gotten through 6 picks.
It's less than 5 hours?
Anyways, at pick number 7, Justin, I feel like if the Raiders managed to get C.J. Stroud, that Josh McDaniels would be happy with it. Maybe not. Maybe McDaniels wants the headier player. I don't necessarily know that Will Levis is headier than C.J. Stroud. Maybe he's obviously I'm sure McDaniels would take somebody like Young if somehow he got the chance. I doubt it. But here at pick number 7, I think Devin Witherspoon makes a lot of sense. I think if they wanted to go somebody like Peter Skoronski, that works too. Best offensive lineman, even though I think he's ultimately going to profile at guard. The first tackle's already off the board, so I don't think he's going there.
I would hate for Patrick Graham to not walk into this year again with not like a good corner, because I feel like that's what really made, like, in 2020. What made him with the Giants is that he had like James Bradbury playing like an all-pro corner.
Right.
So Patrick Graham's maybe a little mad that they're going C.J. Stroud, but at the end of the day,
So you going C.J. Stroud?
I think for that reason, Patrick Graham wins him over. Josh McDaniels says,
Really?
Hey, we've got Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll be okay. We'll get a quarterback next year. We're going to like those guys more anyways. And that they may take Devin Witherspoon because Devin Witherspoon is a really phenomenal player. You don't get corners like him all that often. I don't think he's as good as Christian Gonzalez.
yeah, I
but
think
do
Gonzalez
think he's
may
gonna go
fit
really high.
better. I think Gonzalez may fit better. So we are taking Witherspoon.
We're going to take Witherspoon.
See, you surprised the assistant
Graham
GM.
wins. Graham wins.
Patrick Graham getting in the ear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey.
Known to be a fiery guy.
It takes 2. You have to be able to keep the other team from scoring and score points yourself.
All right.
So they get that one, and then maybe the Raiders go somewhere else in the other round. Now, at 8 is us again, Justin, because Bobby wants number 9. So
sure.
Here
He wants your favorite team's pick.
he does. We agreed that we're each picking the other team's favorite team's pick.
Okay.
So this is where I got to be honest, Justin. Do you have any read on where Bijan Robinson goes?
My mouse literally just went to Bijan Robinson
I-
because it's like this and from what
is this what
maybe
you would do?
Washington.
No. Can I be honest? No.
No.
Then
Like,
do what you would do.
if it was me and I was Atlanta, I would take Stroud. I wouldn't even hesitate. If this is how the board fell, I would take Stroud.
He's got to go somewhere, right?
Right. And we get a quarterback that now we can have a direct competition between him and Ritter. I understand that when you have two quarterbacks, you got nothing. But Ritter's a third rounder,
That's a
right?
big
Or was he a
mid-off.
second rounder? Like, do you remember Bobby?
I think
Day
he was.
two guy.
I think he was the second rounder because I think he was the second guy after Pickett.
I think so. That makes sense.
I hate Desmond Ridder, by the way.
I also don't like Desmond Ritter.
By the
much.
way, speaking of other fan bases,
He tries really
There
hard.
is some people in here that aren't just Giants or Bears fans.
shoot.
I want to say a special shout out to
Yeah.
those people. Al Bundy is one, so I just want to give a special shout out to those people.
Thank you guys. We're glad you're supporting us.
Yeah.
But so I look at Stroud and I think to myself that for all the concerns I have about Stroud, the number one thing he can do is put the ball where I want him to. And so with guys like Drake London, with guys like Kyle Pitts, I think that Stroud comes into a play action centric offense. Then play action, remember, Justin, means the quarterback is literally going to turn his back on the defense for approximately a second and a half, and then he's going to turn around, and now he's got usually two options to throw to. I'm not about to say it's an easier offense, but you're not going through a four-man progression.
It is one
right?
of the legal forms of cheating in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only reason that it's not cheating is because you have to have two dudes at wide receiver that are going to separate for you, because to use a Bears example, if you've got Equinemius St. Brown and Dante Pettis running those two routes, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
so
for sure. All right,
they've
so we're
got
taking
those
CJ
dudes.
Stroud.
We're taking Stroud.
Shout out Dante Pettis threw the pass to Daniel Jones. All right, so you're going C.J. Stroud.
Stroud goes.
All right, so I got back-to-back picks with the Bears
And the Eagles.
and the Eagles. All right, for the Bears, I'm a best player available guy, and you guys need offensive line help. Skoronski would be great here. Even Broderick Jones, I don't think would be a bad pick, even though he's not gonna be very good right away.
Nope.
You know, which is like you want to get Justin Fields some help to become a better passer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a guy. Bears defenses. We want old school Bears defenses to be really good, and this guy has fallen. And I'm going Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech.
I think it's
Okay.
the right
Like
choice.
the size, speed, has that bend around the edge. You know, there's a chance this guy can go top 5. So if he's at pick 9, it's hard to pass on him. And again, I know the Bears need offensive line help, and it pains me to not, and especially at the tackle position, where I am kind of for tackles, probably more so than any position, top 15 or bust.
Yep.
Right? Because it's a very, like, you got to have that foot speed, and it's hard to find human beings that size who have the foot speed to be really good tackles. So I feel kind of dirty doing this to Justin Fields, but I'm just gonna take the guy who I think is the best player in Tyree Wilson at Texas Tech.
Look, you got to remember that there's a bunch of ways to protect a quarterback. Let's use Giants examples. I like using hometown examples, right? And one of the ways that Brian Dable was able to protect Daniel Jones. Oh, I had it right the first time.
You did have it right the first time.
Now you've got me flipped, Justin. This is your fault. But anyways, so Brian Dable was able to protect Daniel Jones by consistently using the defense to keep the score manageable. If you're still within 7 points, you can run your normal offense. You don't have to throw the ball any more than usual. So a pass rusher of Tyree Wilson's caliber helps you to be able to not give up 45 points. Or in this case, I remember there was a stretch where the Bears scored 30-plus points 5 weeks in a row. You know how many of those games they won, Bobby? 1. They beat the Patriots.
That was a stretch of time that existed.
That was a stretch of time that
I'd
existed.
fucking kill to.
Actually, I think
have
it was
that.
24 points or more. But the point is, they had
I'd
28
still kill
points.
to have that.
They put up 28 points 4 weeks in a row, and they went 1-3. Like, you need to be able to manage both sides of the ball. It is a team game, Bobby. And so I like the pick. I think you have to go best player available in that case, but we're taking too long. Who do the Eagles choose?
So
I'm so glad the Bears just took Tyree Wilson here, so the Eagles don't get him.
with the Eagles,
Just wait.
I think the Eagles are a great landing spot for Bijan Robinson.
There it is.
But
there it is.
No, it is. There it is not.
Oh.
Howie Roseman, I don't think believes in that.
It's not about them not believing in that. It's that what makes the Eagles so great on offense? A lot of things. They got a great quarterback in Jalen Hurts. They've got a great a really good wide receiver room, not a great wide receiver room. But if that offensive line continues to churn, that offensive line is so good. They just lost their right guard in Isaac Samulo, and you have the perfect guy to come in and play right guard as a starter. And if you think he's a good enough tackle, Lane Johnson, how much longer is he going to be here? I don't know. So I'm going Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern.
Wow.
I was kind of hoping
Love
Peter
it.
Skoronski would be off the board because I wanted to pick Bijan Robinson for the Eagles because I really think like they are in a win now mode. Obviously, they just went to the Super Bowl, and Bijan Robinson would help with that, and with that offensive line could do some really, really special things. But I'm just gonna go Skoronski because like that's how that Eagles team runs, and you lose Samulo, you allow Cam Jurgens to continue to work at center and get better center, which is a guy I wasn't the biggest fan of, but you do see the ability with there. So let him stay behind Jason Kelsey and go Peter Skoronski from Northwest.
I like it.
A lot of people in the chat say JSN, and I could see that too. I mean, then you just have, then the Eagles like receiver room just becomes one of the best in the NFL because then JSN's your slot, and then you can slot him right in there, and you don't even think about it.
So I agree with that. My only question with that is that I don't actually know if the Eagles want to invest that heavily in receiver with Dallas Goedert still around.
Sure.
I think a lot of receiver rooms are.
Oh, funny story about Dallas Goedert, actually.
I actually punched him in the face in South Dakota.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You were telling me about that, and then he
Sucker
said,
punched his ass.
well, then he said, "Oh my gosh, that hurt so bad." You're
No,
so
he
big
didn't
and
say
strong."
shit. He was knocked out
he
cold.
knocked out.
Go look it up on Google.
He didn't say anything. Florida man did it.
Sucker punched his ass. All right, Titans, pick
Unbelievable.
11. What do you got?
Pick 11, the Titans, because there are no trades, they are going to take Will Levis, and they're not going to think too hard
So
about
glad
it.
you took Will Levis, so I didn't ever have to.
Look,
There you go.
I would
it's
have let him slip to like 30. I would have not just taken him.
respect. I think that the Titans are in the position where they need to take a young quarterback so that they can convince an owner that they have something to hope for next year, and so that a bunch of people who are paid millions of dollars get to keep getting paid millions of dollars. People forget that, Justin, that sometimes these quarterbacks are worth more than the actual quarterbacking talent on the football field. That's hope. That's jersey sales. That's a happy owner. That's a contract extension. That's millions of dollars for the people making the decisions. Look, I don't hate Levis as much as a lot of people. A lot of people, especially when Levis started getting mocked up really high, started just tanking on the guy. You see a quick release. You see quick decision making. You see movement ability. You see the arm cannon. But, oh my gosh, there is a lot of baggage in there. Like, Tennessee would have a lot to fix. And so we'll give him to Tennessee, and we'll just sort of let him have him.
Good luck,
Your
Titans.
turn.
I'm so glad I get to pick both Texans picks because it's like my two. Like, I would not be surprised we come away from this draft 3 years from now. I'm like, these are the two best players in the draft.
Oh.
And I'm giving D'Amico Ryans, not only Will Anderson Jr.,
Oh.
Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt. My guy. I'm giving him that on the front. And then you have what's our boy Jerry Hughes, who's still there, still a pretty productive player for them. I'm giving them a front to work with. I'm giving D'Amico Ryans a front. Like they had that at front in San Fran. He's gonna get another one in Houston. Pass rush wins championships, and I'm getting my boy Kalijah Cansey, who again, there's two players I think in this draft who have better film than him. I already got one for the Texans, Will Anderson Jr. and Jalen Carter might be a piece of shit. I'm going Kalijah Cansey.
Wow. The first big shock,
Yeah.
right?
That's
In
that's
terms
a
of
shock.
in terms of the board on PFN that we're using.
I think it's a shock. I mean, and then for the Packers, this pains me to do this. This is a knife in my abdomen. Justin, is there a better choice for the Green Bay Packers than Jackson Smith-Jigba
Great
to
pick.
pair immediately with Christian Watson? You'll have a great inside-outside 1-2 punch with Watson on the outside, JSN on the inside. You may have such a good receiver room in a year or two that Jordan Love looks good enough to extend despite maybe not being that dude. But worst case scenario, the Packers get ready for next year and they've already got the receivers in place. I think JSN is the only pick that makes sense here.
All right, so the Patriots at pick 14. Let me look at something real quick.
They're not picking in the first round. Bill is like, get me the fuck out of this first round.
Really? You don't think he wants it? You don't think he wants to make his weird pick?
I
Like
think
Miles Murphy
No,
or
he
Lucas Van
likes
Ness?
he likes to make that at like the mid-20s, not at 14 where the eyes are on you.
Ba 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 ba. Ba-da-ba.
He'll trade back to
Patriots
like
trade
34,
down.
34, and he'll have all the top 100
Adam
picks.
Schefter. Like,
They'll have 4 6-round picks. Can't wait for them to take Charlie Jones.
oh man, that
So
is
it's
such a
rumored
Patriots
that the
pick.
Patriots love this guy.
Sure, Paris Johnson. Nope, already taken.
You're gonna pick him.
Zay Flowers out of Boston College, who I think is the second best player. I mean, this is the most like this is a bad draft secret is that the Patriots are drafting Zay Flowers. So I like to do mock drafts is what I would do, but I'm doing a little bit of predictive.
I think the
with this
predictive
too.
piece is fun. Like, especially because while I know that we get to put our opinions in here. For instance, I don't think that the Jets brought in a 39-year-old quarterback to just not protect him. They're going to take Darnell Wright here, the only natural right tackle in the draft that is immediately going to slot in with Mekhi Becton here on the left tackle and protect what is a really, really solid stable of wide receivers for now Aaron Rodgers. I think it's the only choice. I mean, not the only. They could take Broderick. That's a perfectly solid pick. But I think that Darnell is going to appeal to them at this point.
All right, who do you got for the New York Jets?
That's
what I just said.
Darnell Wright. That was a quick transition. Darnell Wright. Right tackle, Aaron Rodgers.
Putting guys down the board.
I hate that pick because I think Broderick Jones is a better player.
I think Broderick Jones is a better player, but Evan Neal is a nice reminder that flipping from left to right side is just never a given.
You know what they say? It's like wiping. It's like if you wipe it with the right and you take it with the left, or vice versa.
What is this saying?
That's what they say.
What is what they say?
If you go from left tackle to right tackle, it's like switching the hand that you wipe with.
Oh man. That's a good way to put. I mean, I don't know if that's the best way to put.
So
I'm pretty versatile in wiping.
If you're the Commanders, you just got a gift from the Jets.
Bijan Robinson.
Commanders need they need offensive line help,
yeah.
and they need a left tackle. And so I'm going Broderick Jones from Georgia, who again I think has all the ability in the world. There's a lot of his game needs to be cleaned up, but he has the ability and the things that he needs to clean up can get cleaned up. So we're halfway through. I'm going Broderick Jones.
If Bijan doesn't go to the Eagles, then he's going to Washington.
I think Washington would make some sense. Didn't they just spend a top pick on running back though?
Yeah, it was Brian Robinson and then Antonio Gibson.
Brian Robinson sucks.
But the point is that Brian Robinson sucks. They took him in the third round. Cool story.
It's just the third.
But they took him in the third round last year. But that just shows you that they're willing to, prioritize the running back position. This feels like the last pick that the Ron Rivera era will make.
Right.
And it has very I don't want to say Dave Gettleman took Saquon Barkley in 2018, and that was the end of his tenure as a Giants GM. It has a very similar vibe to that. It's like, oh, you just made the last significant pick you'll ever make.
I get you.
So, yeah, 17.
I feel like at this point the Steelers would be mad because they missed out on one of the three favorite tackles plus Skoronski. And so they'll take the next best guy on their board, which you make the call. Are we taking Deontay Banks, athletic corner out of Maryland, or Joey Porter Jr., the stellar corner that kind of doesn't want to play against the run?
I like Porter Jr. better than Banks. And
I agree.
This has been the most what besides Bryce Young first.
Right.
What team has been mocked the same guy over and over again? It's been Joey Porter Jr. to the Steelers.
I think it makes too much sense at this point, though I think that the Steelers are frankly jealous that they didn't get one of the tackles.
I was hoping that you didn't take Joey Porter Jr. and I go Lions. I'm getting you guys another corner. Let's make a strength to go with Christian Gonzalez. So
now who?
Lions are back on the board. You still got Van Ness out there, even though I'm personally not the biggest Van Ness fan. You did add. They're not going to go. Well, they did lose Jamal Williams. They don't like DeAndre Swift, right? Like the Lions, Dan Campbell hates DeAndre Swift.
That's
correct?
the vibe, at the very least. They also lost.
I kind of want to go Bijan. I feel dirty letting Bijan fall out of the top 20.
That feels like a very bite the knees pick too, right? Dan Campbell,
just makes that run game so much more explosive. They operate through the run. I'm going Bijan Robinson to the Detroit Lions.
Do it.
If you're a Detroit Lions fan and you think I'm stupid, you know your team way better than me, so let me hear it.
Yeah. So I think Tampa gets up And I think that Tampa is a little more steely-eyed than the Steelers are, to be honest with you.
Good pun.
And that they look at Anton Harrison and they say, we need to tackle that badly. This is a guy we've had circled for a while.
Whoa.
Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma, who I think is criminally underrated on PFN's board. I mean, he is the youngest tackle in the draft. Natural power. He's got good feet, not great feet, but not bad feet at all. Like some balance issues that need to get cleaned up. One of the biggest red flags that I've seen held against him, Bobby, is Oklahoma's offense. And when the offensive scheme you played in is one of the biggest red flags against you, I always think that that's sort of a false flag. You know what I mean? Like that's one of those things, Bobby, that, yeah, there's some risk involved, but if that's the biggest negative that you can come up with in Anton Harrison's game, it's kind of weak. You know what I mean?
Right. So, Seahawks, you picked Jalen Carter for them earlier.
Yep. And remember, eventually they're going to do like...
On the edge, they got Uchenna Nwosu, who gets a lot of pressures, doesn't always finish the deal. I know they like Darrell Taylor a little bit. They need linebacker. All right. They brought Bobby Wagner back. Cornerback, they got Tyreek Woolen. How is Mike Jackson, if there's any line? And we've talked about the Lions on this channel a lot, so we might have some Lions fans in the chat. Like, if you're a Lions fan, you got 5 seconds to tell me who you want. Part of me wants to do, like, I have a phrase that I coined last year, is make a strength a strength.
Mm-hmm.
So they have DK Metcalf. They have Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
As you're thinking, Bobby, the chat's pointing out that the Lions just signed David Montgomery. So by drafting Bijan, you're just throwing that away, which I think would be kind of funny because of the chaos that would come out of Chicago. But I don't know. I do think that they could still draft Bijan and play him over Demo without any trouble.
Running back by committee, they say.
I'm going Jordan Addison for the Seahawks.
Oh!
Give them a slot wide receiver. Make a strength a strength. They drafted 2 tackles last year. None of the defensive players, I mean, there's good ones there, but none stand out to me for the Seahawks. And they already went Jalen Carter, so I'm going to go Jordan Addison.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. So here's a question. Offense or defense, Justin? I got one for each. What does the assistant GM say? Are we supporting? Are we building and building and building with our quarterback?
I think the Chargers are really mad that Jordan Addison just went off the board.
I agree.
And, I mean, now, I can make an argument that Murphy, Nolan Smith, Brian Branch, Deontay Banks, Lucas Van Ness, I can make an argument that all these guys, at least on the PFN board, are better. You know, they maybe should be higher rated than Jordan Addison.
Maybe should.
So this is where, you may see the run on defensive players, because there's premium positions that are going to be taken early in the draft with tackle. You'll see some receivers kind of go off early. Obviously, quarterbacks are going off, so it may leave some defensive guys in the back part of the first round. So yeah, as your assistant GM, Robert,
yeah.
I'm recommending you to take the highest and best rated player on the board right now, and odds are that is going to be a defensive player.
So it's funny you say that because ranked 10 on PFF's big board, not mine, is Dalton Kincaid, which is the player that I was envisioning that if you said offense, we might go with. Because while I'm not certain what Kellen Moore is going to trot out in Los Angeles, but I have a feeling that you could put Kincaid in a very Dalton Schultz style role and create that quarterback's best friend kind of vibe with him and Justin Herbert, while Mike Williams takes up space as the X receiver. But if we're really going the best player on the board, right? And we're taking a look through, we're looking at everything. Let's talk through this a little bit because this is where who would you pick, Miles Murphy or Nolan Smith? Not for the Chargers, just who would you have rated higher?
Oh man, Miles Murphy.
It's tough.
Miles Murphy is. They're 2 very different players.
Deontay Banks is another easy choice here.
They're
They
like
need
polar
some
opposites as players.
Yeah, literally,
opposites.
it's like Nolan Smith is that athletic freak, and do you believe in that? And then Miles Murphy is like just he's built like a brick shit house and he's strong. Nolan Smith is way more fun, but I honestly think I would invest in just, hey, you have the NFL strength, you have the NFL size,
right.
Not a total big project. So I guess Miles Murphy. So it's a good argument about the Chargers maybe taking a tight end, because while I am adamantly against taking a tight end in the first round,
so am I.
Especially when you look at the depth that is in this class,
yes,
and especially with, I feel like what they ask a tight end to do in that, whether it be that Dallas offense. the former Dallas offense. Why am I not remembering the offense coordinator's
It's
name?
It's Moore. Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore. So in Kellen Moore's offense, I think you can ask the tight if you want to take a tight end in the 3rd and the 4th round, you can ask that tight end to do something that's very similar as what you would ask a tight end to be drafted in the 1st round to do. Right? It's not like a tremendous ask. So I think that would be like forcing a need here just because you have Justin Herbert and just because you really want to maximize it. So my brain, I take Miles Murphy. That's my recommendation.
Let's take Miles Murphy.
Let's take
the
Miles
AGM
I'm mad
because
you just took him off the. If I'm the Ravens, I'm pissed
Yeah,
off.
I'm pissed.
Because I wanted Miles Murphy.
Though they run a sweet 3-4. You know who else makes sense there? I know you don't like him.
His teammate. Lucas, or are you thinking Lucas Van Ness?
I was making an argument that I think Smith makes sense at 22. Where if you went with the teammate of now Roquan Smith,
the Georgia Smith brothers.
Exactly, but you're the GM here. Who are the Ravens taking?
Nolan Smith, man, the size worries me with him. It really, really does. And let's see. Let me look at that depth chart one more time.
Stewing. Bobby Skinner thinking live.
Yeah, they need an outside presence. I'm gonna go Nolan Smith.
They go Quentin Johnston.
Well, it's funny you say that, Justin.
I could see because the Ravens
They're going to need wide receiver help once Odell gets hurt.
The Ravens are super bad at evaluating wide receivers, so I know the second that they take a wide receiver, remember they
make very bad decisions about wide receivers.
They took Bateman, and that was a year where it was like you did not like Bateman that much, and everybody was like, I love Bateman. He went to the Ravens, and I'm like, affirmation as in good evaluation on Bobby and not like Rashad Bateman because he was drafted to the Ravens. He did get hurt a bunch, but I mean that's part of the evaluation.
Is it?
It's kind of part of it. If you don't play, you're not a good player.
Bateman's. Let me look. I want to see his per game stats because that's why I like how they're.
We're taking Nolan Smith.
While you look this up, Bobby, another person who is flat out thankful is Minnesota. Now, I'm aggressive. I think that wide receiver is becoming the new edge rusher in terms of if you like them, you want to take them sooner. I know we're getting plenty of second round receivers that are successful, but I feel like, Bobby, that speaks more to recent draft classes' depth at wide receiver than it does to the value of wide receiver. And Justin, our guy, Justin Jefferson, is a slot receiver by trade. He and Jamar Chase exist in that same place where, despite their size, despite their efficiency, despite the ability to play X, they fit as more of a slot and Z receiver and do more damage that way. So we're going to take Quentin Johnston.
Wow.
We're going to make a strength.
Despite them needing I guarantee you there's a lot of Minnesota fans that are looking at, we have no corners. We had a terrible secondary.
Yep.
We had a lot of passing yards. Brian Branch, Deontay Banks, so we're
But you know what we can
Quentin
do?
Johnston.
In the back half of the second, there are going to be some sweet corners. Today is day one of the draft. We're planning on getting there, but we can take the only X receiver, not named A.T. Perry, in the draft. We can stick him next to Justin Jefferson. We can create a deep assaulting offense for Kirk Cousins or whatever quarterback comes next and make a strength a strength like Bobby's talked about. And now, Bobby, you're taking over the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you got?
Joe Tippmann.
Best player available meets need. Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama.
Oh, no.
Love him. And I want to see him not be there available for Robert to see who he's going to pick for our Giants. But Brian Branch just does so much well. Obviously, he doesn't have the long speed, but he's just a awesome safety.
I had to click that.
So Brian Branch at pick 24. Justin's dreams shatter.
And I got to tell you, this sucks. Like
I
think there's two guys to pick from for the Giants right here.
But if that happens tonight,
you know who's still on the board that people will be shocked by? Lucas Van Ness.
I thought you were going to say Michael Mayer, which I don't think should be shocked.
No, I don't think anyone's shocked by that.
But so Lucas Van Ness is still on the board. What gets complicated here, Justin, talk me through it. It's funny because here you're the AGM and you also grew up in New York. This has been your town for your entire life.
He's a big New York guy.
But so we have now seen because the dadgum Patriots drafted Zay Flowers, we ended up without a receiver, which would have been my preferred choice. Right. Our guy that we just had circled just went in front of us.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking here at Pick
No,
25?
no, I don't want
All right,
any of
all
Justin's
right.
opinion on this. I
Okay,
want
none
all
of
you.
Justin's opinions.
I want
None
all
of,
you.
None of Justin's.
I'm not saying anything.
All right.
My
so
mouth is shut.
if it's me and I'm taking a look at this, I think to myself, okay, what can we build on here? When we look at best player available, what do we got? And I see some dogs on the defensive line, and I see some dogs on the outside corner position. In particular, I'll tell you somebody that's on my board that would be in this conversation would be South Carolina corner Cam Smith. I don't know why he's falling, Bobby. This guy's tape rules. I mean, maybe there's some secret injury that the public hasn't heard about because he fits everything that Wink Martindale is talking about. And with somebody like Dexter Lawrence that single-handedly ruined Minnesota's season in a playoff game, I want to get some corners that can cover, and I'm not ready to take a linebacker in the back half of the first round. If it's me, I would take Deonte Banks. I think that that's the most talented player at the most important position that
So you're taking
fell
Deonte Banks.
to us. I'm taking Deonte Banks. That's my choice.
You scared the chat with Cam Smith.
No. It's more that Robert Schmidt's opinion, I think Cam Smith rocks. But we're taking Deonte Banks because I would not be able to stomach taking Michael Mayer. I wouldn't be able to stomach Dalton Kincaid in a Dabble offense.
No.
I wouldn't. I'm interested in Van Ness, but there's so much projection that if you could get some talented outside corner added to the Giants secondary, I think that works for us. What do the Giants guys in this room think?
No, I agree with that pick. Brian Brzee would have been the other one I would have considered, but
That would be your strength to strength pick. But the downturn in 2021, this isn't fair because he has so much going on in his life.
I
at
would
the
go
time.
Deonte Banks.
I
would
think
be
it's
good
the
with
obvious
Deonte
choice.
The only thing about Deonte Banks is that you look at the other corners in this class, and it's their arm length is there, or the speed is there. Deonte Banks, I feel like it's I don't want to say like jack of all trades, master of none, but there's nothing about Banks where it like screams like this is what you're elite in this sort of area. It's just like a good corner, which is not. It's boring. It's not bad. It's just boring.
He loses a lot more reps than a lot of the other corners in this class, even though he has like that elite ability.
I really did scare the chat.
So for the
Sorry, guys. No, I was just talking. Like Banks was gonna be the
Whoa.
choice, anyways.
So I thought I would end up with Michael Mayer for the Cowboys. But this is where I feel good about Lucas Van Ness, and the Cowboys are great at developing talent. To get some edge presence out on the opposite of Micah Parsons, who can set that edge very strong. I think this is a great spot for Lucas Van Ness. Like Cowboys fans,
I think so.
What's the Cowboy? Will McClay wins again, so I'm going Lucas Van Ness for the Cowboys. Buffalo Bills, our friends, so take care of them.
Okay, well, I'm going to do my best. We'll keep this nice and short. Like, there's not a lot of options that make sense here that aren't Emmanuel Forbes, who has absolutely everything but weight. I mean, you want to talk about a heavy hitter. You want to talk about easy, free mover in space. You want to talk about good in both man and zone coverage. Like, sees the field well, interprets routes well. Everything that you're looking for in a corner, Emmanuel Forbes can handle. It's just a frame question, which is bizarre because I don't know if you thought the same thing. Okay, so Bobby, you remember that? Did you ever see Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Was that the one with
Like the new
Johnny
one with
Depp?
Johnny Depp?
No.
Okay, well, did you see the old one?
Yes.
You know how at the end of the movie they show you the person who got like stretched out by the taffy stretcher, and they're like all thin, but they're also really tall and really long?
No.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I do. I just wanted to make you uncomfortable
Well,
for a
it
second.
did make me uncomfortable. That's kind of Emmanuel Forbes.
I wanted to ruin that for you.
You know what I'm talking about, though? We're like, Emmanuel Forbes, you're like, how is he this tall, this long, and this light?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Still, I think he's the choice here. I mean, he's too good.
So are you
not to
taking
be.
him?
I'm taking him with the
Emmanuel
All right.
Bills.
Forbes.
So that is we know the Bills pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a pick I like for the Bills. They have Tre'Davious White, Kyer Elam. They drafted in the first round last year. Brian Brzee is a good fit for them. They need like Osiris Torrance or John Michael Schmitz could have been a fit here.
What's PFF doing telling me then that they need DI or that they need corner? Like I'm going off of what the board says because
Yeah.
Buffalo's not my neck of the woods,
Right.
right?
So I have the Bengals. Bang bang.
Angles.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get. No.
No.
I was thinking about going Michael Mayer here and being like, but Joe Burrow does get the best out of his tight end, so it's like, God, but you give him a great tight end who can block.
It gets tough.
Bengals.
Let me look at their.
This is the part of the draft where you get like, I love guys that are maybe going to be picked 50 and on.
Yeah.
Rather than like near 30 to 40 or.
So they're pretty good
you
in
know
the
what I mean?
front. They got DJ Reader, who's a beast. B.J. Hill, good linebackers. They brought back Pratt.
They got guys. Like, the Cincy team is ready to win.
Cam Smith, because you get Eli Apple out of there.
I was gonna say they do need corners. Let me see which is.
I feel like there's a pick that just makes too much sense here, Bobby. I got to be honest with you.
Who?
Well, yeah, but do you really want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so obviously Zach Taylor comes from that like McVay style of offense that wants to run a lot of play action, but then Joe Burrow likes a lot of West Coast concepts. And there's a tight end in this draft that is one of the best West Coast tight ends that I've seen come out of the draft in an awfully long time. And especially with T. Higgins that stretches the field deep, especially with Jamar Chase that while he can obviously attack the short areas of the field, that he's going to be more effective at the intermediate and deep areas. I feel like there's a certain small U tight end out of Utah that
you like Dalton Kincaid.
fits at this spot.
We liked you, Kincaid, when we did our way too early draft preview, but I'm going. This is a surprise pick. To go with Lou Anarumo, who this is a great fit. I think this guy is worthy of it. He's one of my guys. I'm going Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback out of Miami.
Wow.
Pop.
All right.
I think when we look back at
he's a
this,
stud.
he's going to be a really good player. So it's not going by it's not going chalk, but that's what I believe. So
You got to scroll down to 71. Yeah.
Saints, who the Aints getting?
So I feel like the Saints need help on their offensive line. And offensive line help doesn't come cheap, and it gets awfully weird when you try to peg where O'Cyrus Torrence is going to go. But he's somebody that I'm at least thinking about in this capacity because we could also use, let me see, who do they have on their edge? Because I know they generally like bigger edges. Let's go.
They have not.
I'm wondering whether Anderson.
God,
makes
I know
sense for
his.
them.
I know his
Or
freaking
not
name.
Anderson.
He's really good.
It's McDonald.
What's the
Come on,
on the Saints?
Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan.
Is
yeah,
that who
yeah,
you're thinking
really,
of?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, really good.
I thought you were about to get it.
I
was
couldn't
like,
remember.
come on.
I couldn't remember his name. All right, so who do you got for the Saints?
That's the thing. They really like bigger defensive ends. I mean, you can just tell based on Carl Granderson and then again, hang on. When was this guy drafted? Granderson isn't bad. At least it seems that way. Justin, you got an opinion for the Saints?
Man, the Saints are a weird team.
It's funny because, like, it's not a matter of whether we know the prospects to some capacity. It's like, what's the team do?
Yeah, it
Like,
is. It is. The team definitely does play a big part of it here.
I think there's a good pick there for the Saints.
What are you seeing?
Well, I think they should go Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie Smith. I like it, actually. I want to roll with that
Let's
because
roll with
I think Mozzie Smith, who at this point, like, this is right around that hot zone where he's going to get picked. He's a 1-tech that moves like a 3-tech. His hand usage is really, really good for his size, and he should be able to slot in with a Saints team that needs a little bit of help on that defensive interior and make a lot of plays.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I think that makes a lot of sense.
All right, for the Eagles,
Do it.
they lost both their linebackers. I'm going to go Jack Campbell out of Iowa.
Oh, I wanted Gibbs so bad.
Gibbs is the fun one, but Jack Campbell is the smart one. They lost both their linebackers, one to the Bears, and I'm getting them Jack Campbell.
Jack Campbell's a great pick. He's a stud. Let's see. So then
Part of me wanted to go Drew Sanders because that he could fly around a little bit
he's
behind
nasty.
that D line.
He's crazy.
But I just went, which linebacker do I think is better? Jack Campbell, so I went Campbell.
right. And then taking a look here with the Chiefs. So let me see what's their depth chart looking like these days.
Can I tell you my dream scenario for the Chiefs?
Yeah.
I didn't watch a ton of Josh Downs, but coming from that North Carolina offense, I know they like to throw it down the field. He's a deep target, right?
Right.
So,
Well, all levels. Yes.
but really, if they want to go full track meet and Tennessee's offense is full track meet, It's a weird pick, but Jalen Hyatt, I kind of just want to see what happens. I kind of just want to see what happens with Jalen Hyatt. You're going to a very specific system, and your role in the NFL is going to be very specific, especially if you go on the Chiefs, where I don't know if they have like that deep target right now, and I don't know what their wide receiver depth chart really kind of looks like. Right? You know, I know they drafted Sky Moore. They have Kadarius Toney that's going to play 4 games for them and 20% of the snaps. You know, I kind of want to see what Jalen Hyatt will do, where as defenses maybe start to work back. Maybe not against Patrick Mahomes, but maybe just in general, they start to work back too high because teams are going to start to run the ball more. How will that leave a guy like Jalen Hyatt and Patrick Mahomes' arm? I think that is a match made in heaven. So I don't know if that's a thing that makes sense.
No, I think it makes sense.
I have a pick I would love for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Who would you take?
Well, they want to be Dave Gettleman, and they want to have a Toney, Kadarius Toney, and an Ojulari on their team. I think B.J. Ojulari would be a great fit for them here.
Yeah.
I think B.J. Ojulari makes sense, but I was just taking a look. They just invested premium capital in George Karlaftis, and then I don't think Omenihu is a poor player by any stretch of the imagination.
I'll be honest, I don't know Omenihu very well.
He's pretty solid. Like, at the very least, you're looking at that and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I would guess, Justin, that this is a team that wants to get better at the intermediate and deep area of the field. It's part of why I think your Hyatt idea makes a lot of sense. For
right now, they have
team.
Danny Shelton starting at defensive tackle. Brian Brzee could be a good spot here.
Brian Brzee could be a great spot for them if they wanted to pound that strength aspect.
And if they want more of an all-around wide receiver, you can just take Josh Downs.
Especially if you think that in the second round you're going to be able to get a guy that can stretch the field a little bit, which probably could. I like Brzee. I think one of the hardest parts about some of this, Bobby, is seeing the whole board and remembering the entire board. And I keep forgetting Brzee's on there because I never needed to study him. The Chicago Bears were never going to be in position to draft Brzee with a pick at 9 and 53. So I think Brzee makes a lot of sense. I think the Chiefs get called, like, they get, in this case, one of the steals of the draft. Like afterwards, because people are like, this guy was going to be a top 10 pick.
They love Clemson guys who were once top-rated guys and dealt with some injury issues. Justin
Right.
Ross.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But so that wraps up our first round.
Boom.
I feel pretty good about it. What do you think, Bobby?
I feel really good about it.
I can't wait for the draft, man. This should be
What did I just click?
a fun evening. What'd you click, Justin? Did you ruin something? Did you blow it up?
I want to see the whole thing, and it's not showing up. So here we go. I'll just go team by team.
We don't have to recap. We can. We've been over an hour.
We've been over an hour, and also, I mean, there's still like, we were peaking up to 150 people. We got 134 people in here.
Nobody
Thank you.
left.
Thank
you, everybody.
This was a lot of fun.
Like the stream, so this gets shared more.
Like my finger.
Like Bobby's finger. We're trying
Actually,
to.
I'll save that story for the stream later.
Sure. We're going to be live on the Talking Giants channel every single second of the NFL draft. It is not going to be just Giants talk. When the picks come in, when the picks happen, especially through days 1 and 2, Bobby and Robert are basically going to know everything that is going on.
What was
that?
So
it was an advertisement.
Oh, I thought it was like a camera of like our kitchen or something.
Do we have an ad read for this?
We do not have an ad read for this, but subscribe to JM Football. The more people that subscribe to JM Football, the better, because this is like
someone said close ads and and says it says show all results or not someone Kid
full
Blue.
results. There we go.
Boom.
Thank you to the chat. So
like D-Kit just said, I got notifications on my phone during that, passed it along to Bobby. Apparently, Lamar Jackson may be about to sign. Yep, that's it. Rappaport just agreed, literally live right now, Justin, that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have agreed to terms. He has his deal. The quarterback stays in Baltimore.
We all knew that was happening.
I think that we knew that was happening, but good for Lamar. I think he deserves it. You got to stay healthy.
Now, could we have
wait to see the
dumbasses be like, Daniel Jones will make more money than Lamar?
Yeah, we can stop that now. That is what they sound like, by the way.
I wonder if that's true though. Like Daniel Jones got a pretty good deal.
He's
Lamar
not
has
making
to
more than Lamar.
Yeah, there's no
it's
way.
Like, yeah, let's just be purposely dense and compare two things that aren't comparable.
Are you
idiots.
gonna bring the John Boy bat to the draft stream later?
No, I'll end up hitting someone on accident. Yeah. I'm not like hit someone, but I'll accidentally like it'll like just like a little dink.
I mean, I think you just take a big swing, like let Grump have it, right?
Maybe I'll just fucking Never mind. I'm not going to say that on the stream. let's end this. Let's end this.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Catch up on the draft breakdowns. Catch up on everything that you missed. We're going to try some different videos out once the draft is over on JM Football to see how they work. So if you like us, keep supporting, keep watching, tell your friends. Appreciate